Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville here, coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. So today I thought I'd talk about like that little jam that I did at the beginning there. That was based off a new album that I've been working on. I've been working on this for a minute, and that's a little bit of a loop that I took just from one of the songs. It's the A section of the song. It doesn't give away too much about the song because there's no melody and no kind of things there. But there's some interesting things in that kind of chord progression. I thought I'd talk about how to approach playing over them, because it's tricky, right? Essentially what that groove is E minor for a bar, and then C sharp minor for a bar. And the crazy thing about those kind of chord changes is you can't play just one scale over it. It doesn't really work, right? As soon as you play this, we're now not in key, right? Because it should be another kind of chord to stay in C minor, right? I'm not going to go into that too much because that would be kind of discussing most of that kind of stuff, but this is just a simple approach to what happens if you get two kind of crazy chords like that, right? A great band for that is Jamiroquai. I always find that a lot of the stuff that those guys play have like these chords that kind of sometimes aren't necessarily related. Cosmic Girl is one, right? Essentially it's E minor. Right, and so it's E minor, and then it goes to G sharp minor, or B major, however you want to look at that, but G sharp minor, and then back to E minor. It's like two kind of almost unrelated keys. But in this case, E minor to C sharp minor, right? It's a challenge, and the way I kind of approach it, there's a couple of ways. First thing you can do is you can just play each chord as its own thing, right? So I could play E minor pentatonic, or any kind of related minor scale, you know, and then go down to C sharp minor. And that'll work. I'll show you what that sounds like. And that works. It's kind of a sound, right? It's a flavor. My phrasing's not particularly good when I do that because it's like it becomes very disjointed. It's like I'm playing an idea and then all of a sudden I have to give up on that idea to go to this new shape and jump down here. I mean, I can make it work because I've had enough experience doing this, but it's not necessarily the best way to go. A better way to look at it. Try and find which notes are common to both, right? If I look at E minor, and then I go to C sharp minor, I can see that E is actually in both. I'm going to tune. I can see that E is common to both, right? That's in the E minor, but also in the C sharp minor. There's that E note. So I know that's a good note that I can kind of pivot on to play across both, right? Another one would be the B natural note here, right? That's in both, right? So I know E is in both. I know that B is in both. I know that F sharp isn't. I know that G sharp isn't in the next one. I know B is. I know C sharp isn't, right? So I know that I have those two notes that I can kind of lean on when I need to, right? And that goes a long way, right? Next thing I can do is kind of go, well, how do these two chords relate to each other? So if we think about E minor and C sharp minor, well, what's the relative major of C sharp minor? It would be E major, wouldn't it? Right, upper minor third. So a good way of thinking about it could be E minor and whatever minor particular flavor you want, it's up to you, and then think E major. You would have heard me doing that in that intro, right? So I think E minor to E major. Right? Another one I like to think about, so that's a really good one, right? I'll show you what that sounds like. So as you can hear, that works really well and kind of creates a certain sound. Sometimes too, you don't necessarily want to play all chord changes, right? You know, sometimes you might just play the home key, and that kind of creates some tension against that other chord, which can be a good sound too, right? Because creating some tension, it kind of releases when the chord moves. That's a good approach as well. So that's another one to try, right? Working out how the two relate. So in that case, E minor and E major ends up giving us E minor and C sharp minor 7, right, as our 2. And one of the big things that I do a lot, I've talked about this plenty on this channel, so hopefully it's kind of sunk in, but target tones, right? To me, one of the big bits of that whole phrase is kind of the minor to the E minor, having a G natural in it, right? The minor third, going to the C sharp minor, having a G sharp. So I'll actually like pivot on that. So you see, that's a sound, an approach that really works too. Is like find your target notes, find your notes that kind of sustain across stuff, find your shapes, your positions, and then of course work it, right? I'll kind of play a progression like this for quite some time before I really feel comfortable with it. So I'll do it in this position, and then this position, and then this position, try open position, and I'll try kind of up here at the dusty end of the neck, all that kind of stuff to see what I'm going to get out of this particular thing. Then I like to play it in another key, right? We've been working on it in E minor and C sharp minor. Well, let's move it to, say, G minor and E minor and see what happens, right? And what I find that when I move to other keys, what tends to happen, like if I go G minor to... I just start seeing other things out of those two chords because my positioning is different. All the way it looks sort of sits on the neck, and I'll see things differently. So when I go back to E minor and C sharp minor, I've got a different outlook on the same thing because I've approached it from a different vantage point. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. If it has, please subscribe. As I said, my name is Nick Granville. I'm a guitar player from Wellington, New Zealand. I hope I said that. I meant to. I do daily videos on YouTube about all things to do with guitars and music and my career as a professional musician. I post videos about performances that I do with various gigs. I got some good gigs coming up around the corner, so there's some stuff I'm going to talk about there. I've got some interviews coming. The David Beebe one I'm working on at the moment, so that should be coming soon. He had some very insightful, interesting things to say. What a great dude. Yeah, but for now, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. All that stuff. Thanks. Cheers. I'll see you tomorrow.